Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
It's that time of the year. Your vacation is coming up. You can already hear the beach waves, feel the warm breeze, relax, and think about work. You really, really want it all to work out while you're away. Monday.com gives you and the team that peace of mind. When all work is on one platform and everyone's in sync, things just flow. Wherever you are, tap the banner to go to Monday.com.
Hello, you are listening to Just Films and That. This is the podcast where we talk about those films we think deserve a little bit more love. Whether they're underrated, underseen, we're going to talk about them. So, let's see what it'll be this week. Hello, yes, thank you for tuning in. This is Just Films and That. We're going to get stuck into talking about a film we think deserves a little bit more love. I'm the host, Josh Hallam.
And I'm Jamie Allerton.
And this week we're going to be discussing The Parole Officer from 2001. Sorry, I did look that up. So spoiler warnings if you haven't seen it. Before we get into talking about the film, if you could head on over to whatever app or site you listen to this and give us a 5-star rating and review, it would be massively appreciated as it does help other people hear us and keep the lights on, etc. We've got Patreon as well. So if you fancy supporting us and getting a little bit of extra content and a few other bonuses, then click the link in the show notes when you can get ad-free extended episodes with early access to them from £1 a month. So, Jamie, The Parole Officer then.
Yeah, this was one of your picks, wasn't it, Josh?
It was indeed. Do you want to know how I picked it? Do you want to know what it's about, or do you want to know both?
Nah.
Okay. Join us next week.
Do you want to tell us what it's about and then tell us why? Because this is I feel like this is an important movie to you. You've wanted to do this for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. So we had a little bit of a trouble finding this one, and in the end we almost had to go back to the good old DVD, and then you found a way around it, which is that it's on YouTube.
And then it's a sign of quality if a movie's on YouTube.
It's always a sign. It's not the first time it's happened. It probably won't be the last. That, like you said, a film's on YouTube and the studio's gone, leave it. So anyway, so The Parole Officer is a film, 2001. It stars stars Steve Coogan amongst other people. He plays Simon, who is a parole / probation officer, who is essentially framed from a crime he didn't commit. So he then sets about on conducting a heist with his own clients, who are ex-cons, to try and clear his name. And in the meantime, there's a love interest and stuff like that. So it's a British comedy. I picked this. So I picked this because I think it's a perfectly decent British comedy. I think it's quite harshly rated. I don't think it set the world alight or anything like that, but I do think that it's underrated. I do have a lot of affection for this film, so don't shit on it, Jamie, for half an hour.
When was the last time you watched this apart from for this show?
A long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, a good few years ago. It's one of those films that I watched with flatmates at uni, and it just became one of those films that you quote in the same way that like normal people would watch Anchorman or Bridesmaids. So I do have a lot of affection for this film, but having said that, like I've already said there, it's not perfect. And in fact, I'm fairly certain, having read about it, that Steve Coogan doesn't even like this film. I think he's fairly down on it. Although, since he's made this, he has made like Oscar-winning and Oscar-nominated films like Philomena, Stan and Ollie, and stuff like that. So, had you seen this one before?
I saw this. This was one of my like video rentals when it was out, and then it kind of just never popped up to me again. It wasn't like I felt I needed it in my life.
It didn't live long in the Allerton memory.
No, I do remember a lot of. There was a kind of feeling of disappointment because Steve Coogan was such a big comedy name.
Yeah, it's sort of post series 1 of Alan Partridge, but before he really embraced Alan Partridge, and I think he sort of felt like it was a bit of an albatross around his neck, and so he started branching out into stuff like this and 24-hour party people and stuff like that. And then, he's a lot more successful now, and I think that is largely because he has embraced Alan Partridge as a character.
He pops over to do other stuff now and again. Like he just played Jimmy Savile last year, which like he's kind of he does like prestige stuff, and then he'll go back and do Alan Partridge.
Yeah, he'll do a BBC series of Alan Partridge or something like that, and then, like you say, he'll do the Reckoning, which is the Jimmy Savile one, or he'll pop up in things. He's even things like The Other Guys. I mean, it's not out yet. He's actually in Joker 2.
Yeah, he plays John Joker.
He plays John Joker, Joker's brother. But yeah, so you had seen it before, but didn't live long in the memory.
No, I do remember a lot of the advertising was done around the stunt on the roller coaster. I do remember that heavily.
Yeah, and there was the stunt on the roller coaster. I think they lent quite heavily into it, like you say, because of of Steve Coogan being in it. There's things like Atomic Kitten did a version of Eternal Flame, which in no way, my partner came in as it finished and she went, "Why is this on the end credits of this?" And I was like, because it's a British film, so they just went and got a British girl band to do a song for it, and that's why they did Eternal Flame.
I've got that in the notes that it ends with Atomic Kitten. Did they do that for this?
I think so. I'm not sure, but I think it might even be. I'd have to look at it. It might even be one of those music videos where when it's on the music channels, it's intercut with clips from the film. And I think this is probably fallen into the annals of like when you see 500 Miles and you're like, what film is this from? And obviously people like me and you know it's Benny and June, which is a film where Johnny Depp plays someone who thinks he's Buster Keaton, but normal people with lives and social lives and stuff like that are like,
losers.
Oh, yeah, sad acts. They're like, oh, that's a film.
Yeah. I mean, do you think people went to see this because they were like, oh, that Atomic Kitten song has come out?
Like a Bryan Adams.
And this does bizarrely end on one of them. It's like just on the day. The end credits is them all dancing to I can't remember what song it was.
It's Heroes by David Bowie.
Yeah, what? Why?
I believe they reshot the ending. So I believe that again. Steve Coogan is not particularly effusive in his praise for this film, and I think that they reshot the ending. And I don't know why, but yeah, they reshot the ending, and it is one of those. Well, we've got everyone here, haven't we? So I'm quite surprised that like the villain doesn't come back and do a dance in like a panto curtain call type way.
Is it Stephen Delane? Yeah,
Stephen Delane. Yeah, and they even partner all the characters up with a dance partner that suits them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of liked it because it's always good to end on a note. It's like the Predator ending of like, we'll end on
the old curtain call ending. I don't mind the ending, but it does feel a little bit like, where's this come from?
Yeah, and should we get into that? I mean, this might pop up in dislikes, but I think it's more important than dislikes because it's the overall issue with the film. There's no way that Lena Headey is saying yes to a date. No way.
No
way.
No.
As I was watching this, I was like, this breaks up the whole film because he's set up as like this absolute dork, and you know the language of cinema. And so when he goes to ask her on a date, I'm like, okay, and there's the bit where she turns him down. She's like, yeah, I'll go on a date with you. I was like, no, so maybe there's something wrong with her. She's got like a fetish for dogs, so that'll come out.
She loves Alan Partridge.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make any sense. I was perplexed.
It's there because the film requires it to be there. There's a little bit like, again, maybe we'll get into it in dislikes. It probably doesn't really need that love story. It's there because it's like, so I'll tell you what, I'll tell you what I like about it, and that will inform, I think, why I think that love story's in there. So what I like about it is, again, I do have a lot of affection for it, but trying to look at it with this critical eye, I was like, well, what do I like about it? And I realised that one of the things I like about it is I do think it's quite funny, and obviously that's subjective. So if you don't, that's fine, you're wrong. But I do think it's quite funny on a basic level. And I think a lot of what I like about it is what's quite good about British comedies, which is you take a big Hollywood-style idea, a caper or a heist, and then you make it, like, you localise it and you inject it with that British comedy. So you inject, a bumbling character, an overly polite, awkward Britishness into this formula, and then that goes against audience expectations. So if you look at a much better example, it would be Shaun of the Dead, where they go, it's a zombie film, but it's full of awkward British people, and let's see what happens with that, and it's really, really funny. Now, I think this is funny. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Shaun of the Dead, but, it's that same idea. And it has got, it's got different bits of comedy in it as well, different types of comedy, so it does have awkwardness in it. It's got that early 2000s, right? American Pie has come out, so we're going to have some gross comedy in there. It's got...
we need a bit of flesh.
Yeah, you got to have some flesh in there. You got to have some knob jokes in there. There is character comedy in there. There's physical comedy in there. Like, it does the bit at the end that still makes me laugh is where he's trying to fight the two guys with the office supplies. But that is very sort of silent comedy. But I do think that's quite funny. There's some visual gags in there, almost airplane style gags. So like the security company that they're trying to fuck over is called Titanic Security, stuff like that. There's the whole bit about there's a bit where someone drives off and they leave a lingering shot of a little village, and there's two extras that are a priest and an old lady talking, and they obviously make this big point of them overacting as if they're in the background again, little bit airplane, or like the joke of get Kirsty in instead of it's Kirsty get in, stuff like that. So that's the main reason I like it. There's a few other bits as well, like the cast and stuff like that, and it's easy to watch even if you don't like it. I don't think it's not dragging or anything like that.
No, it whips by. I think you mentioned the concept. Like, when people talk about this film, they just talk about it as a Steve Coogan film. But actually, when you think about the concept, it's a parole officer, and he gets the only people who he's ever made go straight to come help him commit a crime. That in itself is a really intriguing plot. And also, it's a guy, the situation he's in, it's not that he's been set up for a crime, it's that he's under the threat of being set up for a crime if he doesn't shut up as well, which I kind of liked. It's because it's not even him clearing his name. This isn't about he's going out there to save himself. He's going out for justice, which it is kind of just a series of sketches to get to the end. But there's something underlying in there that I thought, that's a bit deeper than just he wants to prove he's innocent. It's that he wants to prove the bad guy is guilty. Yeah,
he wants someone to pay for what they've done.
Yeah, which I quite liked. And there are a lot of big laughs in this. Like, I feel like you're worried I'm going to start shitting all over this.
Only a little bit. Go on then. You're going, start shitting on it. Shit away.
No, I'm not going to, because I laughed out loud at a couple of these bits. It's Get Kirsty In. It's a great, stupid joke.
It's so daft, and it's proper, it's proper, like, cannonball, like, pantomime almost.
If you're listening and you haven't seen it, it's a van is backed up into a police station and she's spray painted. It's Kirsty Get In, but because of the way she spray painted it, one of the stupider ones on the group goes, "It's Get Kirsty In." Yeah.
It's almost like a Les Dawson joke or something, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really laughed out loud at it. There's two other bits. There's a bit when he's got the gun to Lena Headey and they're going to pretend that he's took a hostage.
Yeah.
And as he's doing his speech, he just turns around and goes, "I can't believe some people are talking at the back. It's very British." It's
so, that was the bit I was like, this is so British. I can't believe there's some people talking at the back.
Yeah, I think Coogan actually smashes this character because 2 steps to the left, he's too arrogant. 2 to the right, he's too stupid. And it's not, it's not a million miles away from Alan Partridge, but I think this guy's more likable than Alan Partridge. And you need that in an hour-and-a-half film. And there's also a great visual gag when they go to see Jenny Agutter. And for some reason, Omar Sharif and Jenny Agutter are in this fucking film. And I think it's just that he went, "I want to work with them." But she says, "He left you some tools." And they're like, "Great, some tools that we can use." And she opens the garage and it's just a lawnmower.
Don't think we've got a lawnmower.
No, that I did laugh, and also I really like the heist element is really strong as well.
Yeah. Like music and everything.
They lay out what you need in the heist, and I like the different sections as well. Like when they go and disrupt the planning for the cyclists, I think that's actually quite funny. Where they're like, "No, we should do it on Sunday."
Yeah. Tell them we're not sheep. We're not sheep.
And it's got all the elements of a really good heist, and they do the setup of what if the fire truck turns over the little toy fire truck, and it does, and you're like, "Oh no, the fuck!" And then you see that he's put in the beach ball inflating. So I liked all that. There's some good stuff in here. So don't worry.
I am quite relieved. No, I do think, as I said, I don't think it's setting the world on fire, but I do think like it's fairly funny.
Yeah. I haven't looked up what the reviewers said, but I did laugh a load. And it's got. I mean, the cast is for a UK. Simon Pegg is in this.
Yeah, and Julie Davis.
Yeah,
from 1990, Julia Davis, she's in it with Simon Pegg. They do a good knob joke in there.
I mean, there might as well be a slide whistle during their bit.
Yeah,
with the knob test.
back-to-back on Paris films.
Yeah. Annie Hudson out. On Paris.
All of that on Paris. East is East next. No, it does. Like you say, you've got Ben Miller on Paris. Stephen Waddington is the tall ginger guy. I don't know the girl who plays Kirsty.
I don't think she's done that much.
No, I think she does a lot of telly. Though. Lena Headey. That's the first thing I ever saw Lena Headey in.
Yeah.
And Stephen Delane is the villain. The Mank guy who plays a Mank guy in everything. Who plays a big Mank. The big John something. Guy. I can't remember his surname. But yeah, he's in it. No, it has a good cast.
I actually laughed at the fact that he's eating crisps as well at the very start when he's stuck in the back room and he hasn't explained that he's like hyperglycemic or I can't remember it, but he doesn't explain that he needs the food and he's just eating crisps while he's witnessing a murder.
It just looks like he's hungry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on to the dislikes section then. So we haven't got much time. I've purposely talked for ages then.
So hang on, let me scroll to my 3 pages.
Yeah, sorry, I know you've got ages. I can see it, the reflection in your glasses. That's lots. No, so listen, it's not perfect. It isn't. It is flawed. I've got 1 or 2 bits, but let's hear what you've got to say. I think we probably will have the same overarching point, but let's hear what is it that you dislike about it.
No, I don't dislike it. I'd say I like this film. It did make me laugh. It is fun, but I think there's the humor, they just needed to have a few rewrites. There's some jokes where you like Steve, maybe it's because of his legacy now, but I feel like Steve Coogan is above some of the comedy. Like the set pieces are, whilst funny, like this is a solid narrative. So they don't even explain why he's on the roller coaster on Paris. They don't, he just kind of goes to have a meeting with him. It's not like he's not forced into that.
It's just that he's a council official. That's all you find out. Because he goes, any accidents on the roller coaster? And he says, no, I inspect it every day. But it's like, I don't think that is that the council's job or is that the theme park's job?
Or is that just a weird thing that you do?
Yeah, like every morning, I'm just clocking on. Can you let me go on all the roller coasters, please?
Yeah, so I feel like some of the set pieces are a bit weird. We've already explained this, that I just think if you tweaked it a bit, that he does something heroic in front of Lena Headey at the start. Like he doesn't really show how much he cares about, his clients. He calls them clients, which is weird. Like, I don't know why as a parole officer you call them a client, but if he just did something shine through where you saw his integrity before he asks her on a date, it'd make a bit more sense. But in real life, she's like, oh, fuck off, dweeb. So I do like that. I think it doesn't look great like this. I thought this was 1995, and then I was a bit surprised with 2001. We're getting that quite a bit with British films that we're looking at. Like sometimes they do look a bit TV special.
A bit rough and ready. The look, obviously, the way the Full Monty looks, for example, is meant to look that way because it's all about people doing things out of desperation in a time of austerity. Whereas this isn't. It just still looks like the Full Monty, though.
Yeah, it looks like BBC pranks,
Yeah.
But what do you know? Because I'm panning a bit. I didn't mention it in likes, but I like that this is a northern film without it being. Yeah. It doesn't like mock northernness, and it's not. He's not working class, as he's probably middle. You'd call him.
No, it's just set in Manchester.
Yeah, although he is threatened with, "We'll send you back to Blackpool," which I quite like. That he risks his life because the opposite is you go to Blackpool. So yeah, I mean, it is quite patchy as a film. Like we mentioned it before, the ending reshot. I don't think you need Omar Sharif. Omar Sharif kind of pops up to steal the tape from his own guy. Like I know we mentioned reshoots, but
he's the resolution guy.
Yeah, why wouldn't you tell him? Why wouldn't you say, well, I've got the tape, I'll just go put it on? Like, that's only so that there's a bit of tension there before.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think, so back to that point and the Lena Headey point about why would she sort of go out with him, my point would, I suppose, be that they're trying to do heist and caper, so those sorts of things happen in heist and caper. A sort of mysterious guy who turns up and resolves everything and then buggers off again, and a love story. But that doesn't make what you're saying any less valid. You are right. Like, why would he just rock up?
Yeah. I genuinely think it was just a case of, I want to work with Jenny Agutter and Omar Sharif. So we'll have something a bit nonsensical. Having said that, though, I really like the caper element is strong, and the music. It's one of them where you're proud to be British when the music soars in a very British way, And in this, it's not the huge explosions; it's that they cycle off on the bikes at the end of the caper, and it's quite satisfying when it comes together. So don't worry, my dislikes aren't that big, Josh.
Yeah. I'll cut out. Don't worry.
It was a pile of shit as well.
No, I mean, I largely agree with what you're saying there. I think the script definitely probably needs another go over. Probably it's a bit basic in places. It probably, again, Steve Coogan doesn't particularly like it. And looking at where it came in his career, it screams of, oh, you've had loads of success, so go and do what you want with this film. And we won't really keep it on a leash. We won't have someone double check the script to make sure it all makes sense. So, there are like expositional scenes that don't make any sense. So there's a scene with the villain, Stephen Delane's character, and Lena Headey, where she just goes up to her, senior officer and just goes, "You corrupt," basically. She literally goes up to him and goes, there's a murder victim's number in your phone. And she basically goes, are you the bad guy?
It's her fault. It's her fault that they come round to.
It is. She dobs her own sort of boyfriend in. So there is stuff like that where it's like, to move it along, there's conveniences. Maybe the Omar Sharif thing falls into that. There's other conveniences as well, like I've never noticed before, but obviously the whole thing with Kirsty's character, who's the youngest of the sort of crew. It says she's underage, which means she must be at the oldest 15. I guess that'd be right, yeah, 15.
Yeah.
And she likes nicking cars, and one of the opening things is she nicks a car and then crashes it, and the villain tries to frame her with sort of by putting drugs in her pocket and then rescues her. But the car flips over and she gets battered and bruised. And then later on in the day, they still make her go to her parole officer appointment, and it'd be like, you just reschedule it, wouldn't you? Like stuff like that. And again, like you say, we don't want to get into the realms of nitpicky, but when you start looking at a script and start picking it apart, it is sort of, very only loosely taped together, and it does fall apart when you start looking at stuff like that.
Yeah, I can see why Coogan's not that proud of this, but only because he's gone on to like bigger heights. It's not to be ashamed of. It's just that if your lowest achievement is this, that's not a bad career.
Okay, so we'll move on to talking about the critical reception. I've got it here in front of me. How do you think it did, Jamie? Just to remind listeners at home, I think it's underrated. I mean, it could be underseen as well, but the reason I picked it is because it's underrated. So how do you think it did ratings-wise?
Oh, I reckon we're talking around the 5s, maybe.
Okay.
It's not hated, is it? But it's kind of a non-event.
It's
really.
Middling. Yeah. How would you see it? What would you give it? Like a sort of 9 or something.
Sorry to do it to me. I'd say it's like a 6 for me.
Okay. No, I don't think that's unfair.
Josh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Jamie, it's been nice having you on. No, I don't. Listen, I think this is a solid 10, but I think that extra 1 is probably a lot of nostalgia, possibly even more. So let's look at the ratings then. So at the time of recording, I'm interested to see how this goes, actually. IMDb at 6.3 out of 10, obviously, which would be a 63 if you inflate that for Rotten Tomatoes world. The audience on Rotten Tomatoes give it 63, which is bang on the same. And the critics are quite harsh and give it... the average critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is 57. Now, but it's quite weird, because if you look into the reviews, they're not kind. So I would say it should probably be lower than that, because they're like, this is rubbish, gross out humour, doesn't make sense. It's you know what I mean? But anyway, the scores are the scores. So that averages out at 61, so just above 6 out of 10. So for me, it's not hugely underrated, but I do think it's underrated. What do you reckon?
Sorry, mate. We've never had this before where I've agreed with the critics. I think a 6 out of 10 is pretty fair.
We just won't release this episode. It's fine.
But also, maybe you want to say it's underseen because nobody can get their hands on it.
Because no one can get their hands of it, although apparently it is on YouTube. Unless you're like me and have the DVD from 10 years ago.
Yeah, when you messaged me and said, it's all right, I've got a spare copy.
So in that case, well, we don't agree because Jamie's wrong and I'm right. But we'll put it to a vote. So I think it's underrated and Jamie doesn't. But there isn't loads in it. So we'll see what the guys at home reckon. So, Jamie, in that case, it's your turn to pick next week. What are we watching?
Josh, it's time we hit one of the best rom-coms ever made. We're doing Wimbledon.
Paul Bettany and Kirsten Dunst playing tennis and that.
Yep.
British challengers. Okay, well, in that case, join us next week. We're going to be talking about Wimbledon. In the meantime, if you'd like to suggest a film or get in touch, it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com or on all the social medias. If you just search for Just Films and That on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube, you'll find us. We're always putting content out there, so do give us a follow. And thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week for Wimbledon, the film, not the sporting event. And thank you very much for listening. It's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.
Need new glasses or want a fresh new style? Warby Parker has you covered. Glasses start at just $95, including anti-reflective, scratch-resistant prescription lenses that block 100% of UV rays. Every frame's designed in-house with a huge selection of styles for every face shape. And with Warby Parker's free home try-on program, you can order 5 pairs to try at home for free. Shipping is free both ways, too. Go to warbyparker.com/covered to try 5 pairs of frames at home for free. warbyparker.com/covered.
Juvederm Day is coming soon on August 21st. Buy one $75 Juvederm gift card, get one free. One day only on August 21st. Juvederm Day gift cards can be used on any product in the Juvederm collection. Don't miss out on this once-a-year chance to save. Join Allie now. While supplies last, Skin Vive by Juvederm is excluded from this promotion. Terms and conditions apply.